My name is Lilla Moxham, and I was 13 when war broke out, and still at school, but it was a secretarial college, really. My father really insisted that I became a shorthand typist, so that's what I had to do. We were in the classes there, but whenever there was a siren and an air raid, you dived for one of the rooms that was bricked up, the lower floor. And while we waited for the all clear, we would be knitting socks for airmen, soldiers or sailors. And life was a bit precarious. I was 13 when war broke out, and within 3 days we were told by the army that we had to relinquish one of our rooms, and 3 soldiers were billeted with us. They'd put up ack guns in the local park, and from there on, for several months, we had the soldiers, and we got to know them. I think 2 of them out of the 3 were killed during the war and never came back. I was sent to a secretarial college and learnt to do shorthand typing. Again, the journey there and back, I think it was 2 buses and a train. And it wasn't very easy because whenever the air raids happened, you had to sort of dive for cover. After a while in the war, the men had been, from 18 onwards, had been conscripted. But the women also had to go into work of national importance. You were allowed to be a land girl, to go into one of the women's forces, or to go into nursing. Well, I never had liked shorthand typing. I didn't like office work. I'd done it for about 2 years. When at 17, I was allowed to choose which of the options I wanted to do. And I chose nursing, which is what I wanted to do in the first place. Going into nursing, we had 3 months in the school. Thereafter, all the lectures were either in our own time or after, or sometimes they fitted them into your duties on the wards, because after 3 months you were in working, and it was very, very long hours because it was the war and nurses were short. The food was pretty bad, both for the patients and the staff, because of rationing and one thing and another. We had wards of about 30 that were bricked up. You had no ventilation, the windows were taken out, and bricks were laid in place of it. Infection became a problem, and there was no antibiotics at that time. It was before they were introduced. So there was a lot of infection, which was one of the bigger problems. You could have war casualties from the bombing or from shrapnel from the guns. And if you were required to take injured people, then those suffering from other things were either on a mattress on the floor or were hastily discharged. So it wasn't exactly a pretty sight, really. I can remember that we had little bottles of penicillin, but that was the first I'd ever come across. I did 4 years at Edgware, 6 months. No, I went from there to do fever nursing because that was prevalent. Before antibiotics, you got all your complications when measles and went a bit, when you got the complications. So we had a hospital, and it was 2-year further training to get that qualification. And then I did 6 months midwifery, just to get a certificate that said, you are not a midwife, because you would need the second part. And I did that in case, at that point, you were wearing uniform outside. I thought, if anyone had a baby on me, I wouldn't know what to do. So I thought, so I decided to do 6 months. Oh, I did, from general nursing, part of it, got sent to a sanatorium down in South Mims, which is now on the M1. And on DE Day, 2 of us, my friend I had the photo with, we decided to go up to London after work. So we went up and joined that crowd outside Buckingham Palace. I mean, you just couldn't decide where you went, you got carried along. But it was great. And by the time we finished there, all the last trains had gone. And we hitchhiked on a great big tanker. And it went within a mile of the hospital.